In the middle of the night, my phone lit up with a massive text from the mother who had just ghosted our entire family. "Did you even read the email about your dad's serious medical prognosis?" she wrote. "He cried like a child because you won't let us take your kids to Europe." I stared at the glowing screen in absolute horror. Not just because I had never received any such email, but because I finally realized my parents were willing to weaponize a secret illness just to punish me for saying no. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This post is from the subreddit r/parents, and it's by user lovely_day. The title is "Grandparents Taking Kids Overseas." I said not yet. Response left chat groups. Let's get straight into the post. It all started with a request that sounded super nice at first, but honestly gave me an instant panic attack. My parents came up to me and asked if they could take my two kids, who are only 7 and 9 years old, overseas to Europe this year. Now, context is important here. We were already in the middle of planning and paying for a huge family trip to Hawaii for next month. So, this Europe idea wasn't just random. It was honestly a lot to handle all at once. I took a deep breath and gave them what I thought was a totally normal, reasonable answer. I just said, "No, I'm not comfortable with that right now." But instead of just being like, "Okay, cool, maybe next time," the guilt trips immediately started. They kept pushing and pushing, saying stuff like, "Well, we're getting old, you know, and this will be so good for the kids, you're holding them back." But guys, I'm just being real. I am completely paranoid that something bad will happen in a foreign country, and I will be way too far away to do anything about it. When I tried to explain my fears, they just flipped it and said, "Fine, you can come too." But my husband runs his own family business. He can't just drop everything and fly to Europe for weeks. The biggest issue here, though, is our history. My parents have a super toxic track record of completely ignoring my boundaries, disrespecting my choices, and treating me like a child. Whenever they don't get exactly what they want, they throw a fit and literally ghost me. They get mad at me just because I'm upset with them. It's wild. So I tried to be the bigger person. I typed out this really thoughtful message in response to their invite. I told them I'd feel way more comfortable if at least one of us parents was on the trip. I even hyped up the kids, saying we definitely see them getting into history and museums lately. But knowing our kids, a full-on European vacation with super long days, tons of walking, and endless historical tours would just be too much for them right now. They don't have the attention span for that yet. I told my parents it would be a way better experience when the kids are a little older, and we could revisit the idea then. I really thought that was a fair, mature reply. My mom's response. She immediately left our family chat group about the Hawaii trip, just straight up exited the chat. But wait, there's more. She also left our regular, everyday family chat group with my in-laws, my brother, and his wife. She just vanished. I literally thought, here we go again. Sigh. And somehow, in their minds, I am the crazy one for not wanting them to drag my little kids to a different continent. These are people who absolutely refuse to communicate like adults, don't respect my husband and me as parents, and honestly, are just not emotionally stable. I know for a fact that if I let them take this trip, they would ignore all my rules anyway. They always think their way's the only way. The craziest part? I didn't even say a hard no to the Europe trip. I literally just said not yet. This kind of drama is exactly why I haven't even told my kids about our Hawaii trip yet. I knew my parents might throw a tantrum, and I didn't want the kids to get their hopes up just for the trip to get ruined. When my mom left the chat, I instantly knew she was going to cancel our Hawaii plans out of anger without even telling me. I figured I'd wait a few days, let her calm down. And if she canceled, my husband and I would just buy our own tickets and go without them. To give you an idea of why I'm so stressed, let me tell you about what happened 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they ghosted us for 4 straight months. 4 months of complete silence. Why? Because I told them they hurt my feelings. We were at their house and they made some weird comments implying I wasn't feeding my kids properly, basically making me feel like a garbage mom. I started crying and left their house. Did they call to apologize? Nope. Their response was to get mad at me for crying and ignore me for a third of a year. My husband was furious. My brother and my in-laws were completely shocked. I was so depressed during that time, especially since they live super close to us. Finally, my husband reached out to fix things, and they promised they would never do the silent treatment again. Yet, here we are. I was going crazy, so yesterday I finally broke the silence. I texted my dad and asked if the Hawaii trip was still happening, since Mom had dramatically left all the group chats. He read it and ignored me. After waiting forever, I got annoyed and texted, "We will just book our own flights if we hear nothing back." Suddenly, my dad replies and says the trip is still on. I asked him, "How are we supposed to plan anything when she leaves the chat?" His response, "Why don't you ask her?" I said, "Because she left." He replied, "Why won't you message her directly?" I was so done playing games. I texted back, "If you guys can't communicate like adults, I'm canceling this trip and buying separate tickets." Like magic, my mom suddenly texts me. She says the trip is still booked, she won't cancel it, and she only left the group because she was too upset. When I asked what she was even upset about, she just said, "Don't worry about it." I told her I can't go on a trip with them if they just shut down and ghost me. I reminded her of her promise to never do this again. Her excuse was that leaving the chat was her way of finding peace in her head, and begged me not to book another trip because it would waste thousands of dollars. I didn't reply. Then, in the middle of the night, she sends me a massive essay. She said I made her feel rejected. She said I was treating them like they weren't trustworthy. Then she played the ultimate guilt card. We are getting old. We don't have many years left. And then, she totally switched gears to try and make me look like a monster. She asked why I never replied to my dad's email about his prognosis and his serious diagnosis. She said he cried like a child because I was ignoring his health and keeping the grandkids away. She ended the text by playing the victim, saying she was sad and rejected, but that I should just go to Hawaii without them and use the tickets so the money doesn't go to waste. I read this text while trying to get my kids ready for school, and my heart just shattered. Sigh. I texted her back and said, "First of all, I never got any email about a diagnosis. The last thing they told me was that everything was fine. I told her I couldn't deal with the constant deflecting anymore." I typed, "You never take accountability. It's not okay to constantly disappear on people you love. You don't respect my decisions. You push my boundaries and then act shocked when our relationship gets messed up. How am I supposed to trust you with my kids overseas? I can't go to Hawaii with you. We are going by ourselves and buying our own tickets. You can cancel yours. I'm done with this." She just replied, "Okay." Later, she sent a half-hearted apology, blaming work stress and my dad's health, and told me to have fun in Hawaii. I feel like I'm dealing with high schoolers. No matter how nice I am, if I say no, I am the bad guy. I have tried so hard for years, but I'm not letting myself get sucked into this toxic cycle anymore. I am completely done. Community comments. The community definitely had OP's back on this one. User Lapsteel Guitar said, "This might be your opportunity to start building that boundary. Tell them no, and do not bring it up again." Mr. Lizard Business completely called out the parents' weird logic, saying, "They're getting old" is a bizarre argument to make about traveling with a 7 and 9-year-old. Too old for what exactly? This gives me huge red flags. Expecting a parent to be there for international travel is an obvious expectation. There is so much trouble you can get into, and children are naive. If you don't trust them here, you can't take them abroad. And BK Worm Trisha gave some really solid advice. You know your parents repeatedly undermine you and gaslight you. Why do you keep going back for more? Just stop. Plan vacations without them. Tell them your decisions are final and walk away. Final thoughts. Listening to this post, it is honestly so frustrating to see parents treat their grown children this way. It's like they never learned how to handle hearing the word no. Leaving group chats, giving the silent treatment for months over literally nothing, and sending massive guilt trip texts in the middle of the night are things toxic friends do in high school, not things grandparents should do to their kids. It's a classic manipulation tactic called gaslighting, where they make you feel like you're losing your mind just for setting a normal boundary. Using a random secret medical diagnosis to win an argument is just completely unfair. OP, you did the absolute right thing. You are protecting your peace and protecting your kids. Going on that trip would have just been rewarding their bad behavior. Drawing a line in the sand and paying your own way shows them that they can't control you with money or guilt anymore. Stay strong, because breaking toxic family cycles is incredibly hard. But you are doing great. That is all for today's video, guys. Have you ever had to deal with a friend or family member who just completely ghosts you the second they don't get their way? How do you even handle that kind of drama without losing your mind? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks for watching.